Thank you for showing up, both Laura and Deborah. Deborah and Laura, thank you so much for being here. We love having a live audience. 1 o'clock every Sunday here at the Seattle Drum School. You can watch anytime, either live streaming or youtube.com/C Seattle Drum School, or just search for Seattle Drum School once you get to YouTube and you'll find it. We've got archive shows. My special guest today is Brittany Davis. She is blowing up. Yeah, go ahead and give her some love. She's a keyboardist, a vocalist, a songwriter. She plays all the instruments on her debut release. As a band leader, she's leading her own band and also joined some of the grunge all-stars here in town. So we're talking about that. She's also the owner at Shangri-La Music Studio. My special guest also is Bunny Brown, member of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. There we go. Inducted this last fall, and we had her on the show, one of our debut shows here at the Seattle Drum School. So we got her on today to do a review. Let me just do a brief thank you for tuning in, and let's see, what was my... Oh, yeah. We're going to do... a bathroom review briefly. We do that every week, and a little bit of blues prevention, and then a brief calendar toward the end. Our bathroom review will be the Spar in Tacoma, if you haven't been there.
Got one, too.
That's a lovely little music room. Our Blues to Do podcast is sponsored by Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce. There it is, and here's the image. And we got the QR code right there if you want to order it up. We can hook you up to Mitch directly, so you don't even have to pay any kind of grocery store fees, but it is in a lot of different grocery stores here in the Northwest. Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce, also featured at our events here at the Seattle Drum School.
And it's good.
Yummy. Yes. Okay, mitchesfoods.com. We are broadcasting on Duwamish land in Seattle's Georgetown area from the lab at 1010 South Bailey. Last week we had Steve Bailey on. That was kind of cool. The Seattle Drum School of Music is where we are at. We recognize the Duwamish people and the tribe for taking care of this land. We thank them for that, for generations of taking care of this land so that we could be here today.
Definitely.
We need to throw a rent party for those folks.
I know,
I'll tell you what. All right, so blues prevention. I was reading from the Dalai Lama. I had like the 5 A's. This time is real brief from Thich Nhat Hanh, if you know that name. A deep philosopher, and here's a quick quote from him. The feeling of being deeply listened to is close to the feeling of being loved. Power of just listening to somebody, it just gives me chills. So thank you for listening and being here as we continue to do this podcast. All right, my moment of wisdom, it's blues prevention, basically, trying to help you out, work on your relationships. We'll do some mindfulness training together, too. Look out. Okay, my bathroom review, the Spar in Tacoma. I was down there for the Doug Lynn Calkins reunion band. They did a little mini tour. He came out from Colorado. There's the quote. The bathroom looked good. You know, they've been in business a number of years. It's an easy access bathroom. I got there at the end of Sunday night. Still look good. Flush is good. It's a great small room in Tacoma for live music, reliably tasteful live music, jazz, blues. Blues is every Sunday, and they're known for great food, although I missed my gumbo when I went there. They're doing some repairs.
How can you miss a gumbo?
I was a little late, and they're doing repairs, so they closed early. But, you know, when repairs are good, we'll be back. Okay. So that's the Spar Beer Parlor. Look, there's the John right there, and there's Doug Lynn with the band reunion.
Oh, my.
Kimball and the Fugitives on the 21st. They got
cool.
a bunch of great music out there.
Cool. I tell you what, not to break you up, but I do have a bathroom review, too.
Oh, what's that?
The Potty Pot at... There's a club, and I wasn't at a concert. I was just drinking, and it's called the Bulldog. It's in Linwood, Washington. Cleanest restroom I've been in.
See, now
in
this
a
is what
very,
women need.
very,
This
very,
is what women
very long time. And you know, girls, we like a clean restroom.
Would you take pictures and come back with that?
I will. And
Okay.
they also have another venue called The Cabin on the lake.
Cool.
Yeah.
She's going to go through all the bathrooms she's been at lately.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. That one, I mean, Safeway is horrible, but
Well, you know,
all Safeway.
I don't review bad bathrooms. That's the truth right there. You just don't get any free press if you're not going to keep the bathroom clean.
Okay.
All right, enough of that. Okay. So my guest today, let me do a brief intro. If I can make it brief, it's going to be tough because she's got a huge story. Even at 29 years old, she's got a lot she put on a few miles.
The girl is about to blow up.
She is. She's been overcoming obstacles her whole life and has stayed positive. I don't know how. I think I'd be a mess and in tears a lot, but she managed to make music her therapy. And just briefly, I won't make her tell all the hard stuff over again, but her dad was killed by gun violence when she was 12. Her mom was incarcerated. She, at 3 years old, went to live with her grandmother. And she had multiple four eye surgeries. That's traumatic right there. The fact that she can't see gives her superpowers, and we're going to talk about that. She was also violated by an uncle. Just a lot of stuff before you turn 30. So she came from Kansas City, Missouri to Seattle to be with her mom and is, again, with her grandmother. Thank you, Martha, for being here. And give her some applause. Will you go ahead and give Martha some applause? Martha Bradford doing a good job. And so we are excited to have, I'm so excited, I'm shaking. I'm so excited because, yeah, you can see that. Because this is her debut record, 2 albums. I mean, how many of us have dreamed and not made it happen? You made it happen. You made it happen.
Baby girl did it.
Mm-hmm.
She did it.
And I've been watching some interviews, doing my research. There's so many wonderful questions I want to get to, but we're not going to play the record. We're going to make you get the QR code. Oh, there she is, a little picture of when you're young. So, yeah, we're going to give you the QR code a number of times so you can go check her music out. And it is on, what's that one? One of those services. Spotify, thank you. I'm old, I forget.
I'm sure Spotify, YouTube.
Still learning all this stuff.
Instagram.
Exactly. Yes. Well, now both Bunny and I saw you at the Flight Path. And I heard that you packed the clock out over on Beacon Hill 3 nights in a row.
We did that. That was fun.
You're going to grow out of that room.
Man.
So what other rooms are you playing in? And you're playing with some of the grunge all-stars. The Painted Shield is the name of Stone Gossard's band, right?
Yes.
I'm not a grunge person, but I got that right.
Yes. It's more alt rock. Yeah.
Alt rock, yeah. Now, how'd you start that connection with them?
It was just like one of our mutual friends had introduced us, and when we start playing, like, honestly, when I started playing with Stone Gossard, it was just like we were peas and carrots. We always like the experimental stuff, the goofy stuff, the funny stuff, the just out of the box stuff. So that's kind of how it got started. It was just us being goofy, right. And him having had some tracks of old that he wanted to revise and revamp, and he was like, "Hey, we could do something with this." And that's how it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and you brought yourself, as you said on your album, the story of your soul.
Ooh, yes, I did.
And you brought some older material, older writing into it, too.
Absolutely.
Tell us about how the content of the double album came out.
So the double album was literally, like I say, a soul pour. I just poured out my soul, right. And some of the music, of course, came from, I could relate back maybe 10 years.
Did you write all of this?
And all of this music I wrote.
Okay.
All of this music I produced, all of this music I lived.
So it's almost like a testimony of your life in your music, correct?
Definitely a testimony.
Gotcha.
Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's called Image Issues. As I mentioned, it's getting a lot of airplay on KEXP. That's a wonderful thing. It's blowing up. And really excited about your future. How did you hear this before it got created? What do you hear in your head when you're, there's layers. It's a very interesting, it's kind of like that Stevie Wonder song where he's getting off the bus and you hear the bus and you hear all these layers and he's in New York City. Yeah, New York City, and it's like there's layers of sound. You got a lot of layers going on.
Yes.
Yes.
So my layering has to do with my sensory processing abilities. A lot of people call it synesthesia, but I didn't know that's what it was called.
Right.
Because having heard music my whole life, being that I'm blind, my auditory senses are my number one source of, gaining information. And so when I heard music, I always heard it on deeper levels. And that means like maybe the colors come out. Like, yeah, I even get words through certain chords. Like,
Wow.
certain chords represent certain things. Like,
you bet.
so it's like if a stove is hot, I get a certain chord for that. Instead of hearing the word hot, I hear the chord for hot.
Exactly. That is just awesome. You sound. Stevie Wonder came from the same mold.
Yeah, I love him. See, that's why I know we're supposed to meet one day.
Exactly,
I know it.
exactly.
I know it's
because
supposed to happen.
when you're given a gift like that, and the deep integrity, and the knowledge, and then to have the soul of a musician, it all comes together. See, it's like some magical with cells or whatever they are,
something like that.
Yeah,
it's
something like that,
special.
and you see it. Yes, it's special.
Definitely.
You are special.
Yeah.
I know when Marlee and I came, she's like, "You got to come to the fight path. You got to hear this young lady." And I was also told about you by Maya Marie, one of my little proteges. And when I came, it blew my mind. And I'm going to say I don't go on stage and sing with anyone, but I came with you because I was just that touched by your vibes, sweetie. I think you are going to be one of the best.
Thank you. You bless me. You bless me.
And you use all your senses. I heard you describe music like food.
It is.
And,
it is definitely like food.
like boudin and barbecue ribs.
Oh, come on, boudin, barbecue ribs. It can be, but I think that's why I love this one moment where I'm like, okay, there's food cooking, and then I smell it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that smells like, and then I'm playing the music it becomes that rhythm,
That is so cool.
Smells like a bass line. That steak is smelling like a bass line right now.
Oh, I think I remember playing Funky Soul Stew, right?
Oh,
The Soul
something
Stew.
like that.
So what's your favorite chord? That's one of my favorite questions to ask a keyboardist, but also guitar players. What's your favorite chord? What can you name one?
I can't name. I guess I could say like I love diminished chords.
Yes.
Anything diminished, like when I was listening to Stevie Wonder's Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants, there's this one chord that he plays when he plays the interlude to Send One Your Love, where it's all slow and it's like it's a whole party atmosphere. It's almost like they're popping champagne and everything, and there's this like chord. There's this part where it just gets like this little diminished, and you just want to stay there forever. It just it's such a longing chord.
Yes.
It's like speaking of sadness and hope at the same time.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yes,
it's so
right,
great.
yes.
Right.
There's a transition happening. And I can feel it, and it's just like, ooh, that right there. That's what I live for.
I've always said on my radio shows, music is a universal language.
Yes.
And you have even touched inside the universe with your special
on.
gift. You understand?
Yes.
So not only what we hear on the outside, you're able to reach inside, like you say, with the smell of a food, the weather, the sound of lightning, a cloud storm. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
All of that is part of what makes you do what you do.
Oh, amen. See, I always told people, music is my first language. It's my first language. I didn't know how to talk, but I knew how to how to sing. I knew it. It was like prayer. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it all.
I thought I should have a keyboard here so you could talk.
I know.
right. So you can.
So I could tell it.
Or come out and see her live.
Man,
Right.
Somebody.
That's a question I had. Live or recorded? I mean, recorded means you can do the layering and do all this stuff. How is it different live than your record?
Live, you have to trust that people come into contact with that language, and you have to be willing to trust it because it's a part of the process. But I know that whatever is given to me, I respect it gracefully. So, like, there's no instrument that is lost in my universe. And so when I create live, it's even more it's even more jacked up on Brittany-ness than before because I ingest it. I just like whoop, and then I let it back out like a big amplifier.
That's right. That's right, baby girl.
Well, and your record has treadmill 1, treadmill 2, treadmill 3. There's a theme.
A whole sequence. Yeah.
Talk about that.
So the treadmill memories are the inner and external dialogues coming together to meet as one. It's lulling. It's repetitive. It's sad. It's negative. Sometimes trying to be positive. There's questions. There's answers. There's just loops and feedbacks and things that I can't process and things that never quite get processed.
Sure. You're still working it out.
Still working it out.
Amen.
And willing to endure it because of the greatness of what the future has.
Mm-hmm.
And, just compacting it all into that treadmill, that machine that if you stop, it won't stop,
Right.
Like it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And if you stop, be prepared to fall.
Right.
Exactly.
Knock you down.
Because it'll knock you down. And it's resemblant of what life is and what it does, but it also represents knowing how to pace yourself and knowing how fast and how slow.
Talk about that on the record. Fast, slow.
Yeah, fast. Sometimes I feel like I'm too fast. This is too fast and I'm too slow. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about the tempo too, because everything has a tempo. Like when you talked about my abuse, it has a rhythm.
Right.
The love making and love taking has a rhythm. It all has a rhythm.
That's so true.
And there's a tempest within me that wants to share that rhythm with as many people as I can so that we can get off of these, binary bits of code and letting it set our rhythm, because our rhythms are already set. If we could just get on the same beat, we could do something.
You sound like an old soul. Anybody call you that before?
Yes.
I imagine they have. You listen well. Obviously, you have to listen to play music with other people.
Yes.
But you use your senses, your taste, your smell, your touch. You speak about being a kind of a conduit, or I don't know if that's the word you use. You're aware of energy. Talk about energies. Like right now in the room here, you're feeling the energies, right?
Yep.
Talk about that.
So the energies in this room are very like high vibration, like they're kind of mid volume. They have like leafy bits, like somebody had a memory or something that brought them down, but then they had hope. I could kind of feel these kinds of like.
You're talking about me.
Well, and this used to be a funeral home, and this was the chapel. We're sitting where the chapel is.
Like,
So there's all kind of vibes.
I can feel like how Bible pages turn?
Yeah.
The sound of Bible pages turning.
Right.
It's the crinkly, the thin, kind of like the whisper of memories and gathering, kind of flowing.
You mentioned about the speed, moving,
Yes.
at your pace, not everybody else's pace.
That's right.
And I did that. Being James Brown's niece, I was moving so fast, and you burn out. You burn out fast, and then you have to sit down and recharge yourself.
Yes.
And start all over again. Yes.
Yeah,
And I did
sure
it many times,
Yeah.
and finally, I recharged till I got it right.
Right.
But when you make mistakes, it's the music industry is people to trust. Who you work with, you have to trust them. And sometimes we trust the wrong people.
Amen.
It's so much going on right now. I know you guys have heard of P. Diddy, what's going on with him. And
Right.
it goes all the way back to the major masters of the music industry. This is going to blow up so big. Clive Davis and all of that, like all the King's Men.
Amen.
They're about to fall, and it's going to be so sad for people who believed in this. The rap industry has found out that people in the music industry invested in prisons,
Yeah.
private prisons. So what they did, they went and got the rap boys and told them, you make derogatory music. This is what's going on with youngsters right now. And what they did, they followed the music. They get caught. They go to jail.
Oh,
they go
and
to
they
these
make
private prisons that you guys have. It's going to be so big when it blows up. It's going to really blow a lot of entertainers' minds. But you are on the right path. Don't you feed into none of that. Because it's not about you.
It's time for women to lead. What do you think? Can I hear you say yes?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just get the
it's
women in
women's
there.
time.
It's
If you notice, the
sorry.
basketball game is bigger than the men's right now. You know,
Come on, let's
they
talk
want to
about
see the women more. I know.
You like basketball?
You know what? It's funny because I've always liked basketball, but I don't know how it looks. I don't know how it's played.
Right.
But I've always loved the game.
The squeaky shoes or
I
what?
love the ball.
Basketball. We're playing basketball.
That's a jam. Wait a minute. That was my favorite movie.
Okay, so one of the things I thought about when I listened to your record is that everybody has now experienced being alone after pandemic.
Ooh.
You have experienced being alone a lot in your life.
Way before then.
Way
Come
before
on.
then. And so your experiences are speaking to your music.
That's right.
And people are loving your music. So they're going, yeah, me too, to that stuff that's on your record that says I'm alone.
Right. I am alone. I am in a place that requires aloneness.
Right.
So you make your own light in a life of
So
darkness, correct?
exactly. I allow God to be that light. That's
Thank
what
you.
I do. I allow the Lord Jesus to be that light because I know my light
It's bright.
is
and
bright. It's shining right now.
Look at her shine
I
up the whole room.
like-
Shine up the whole room when she
it's
smiles.
just when I do things, I think about that. I think about
right.
what does it mean to actually convey to the people that it's not that, okay, well, you look at her and she's sheltered, she needs people to guide her, and then people don't approach you.
Right.
And so then you end up not being a part of
Right.
the very community that you're trying to serve. Because it's like, even when it comes to styling and getting dressed and all that, like, you know how it is. You go to the store, you find something you like, you buy it, you bring it home. Not my story.
Not
Not
your
my
jam,
story.
right.
It's not my story, though. If it could be, maybe it would be. But
you
it's
look
not.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Let me say that. You
You
look
wear
really
sparkles
beautiful.
well.
But it's just such a different vibration when you're depending on so many others to be your hands.
You know, before I go, Marlee, I want to thank you for,
Thanks for coming.
letting me
Thank you.
participate. But when you said that Brittany was going to be here, I was like, it's a must that I be involved with this. You know, that I have faith and I believe in you, sweetie.
Thank
And I tell you, just don't let nobody bring you down. Don't let anyone bring you down because your light is shining so bright.
Thank you.
I'm working on my new podcast. It'll be BS, Bubbling Brown Sugar. But it's going to be BS, Simply Complicated. And it's about life. It's about domestic abuse. It's about letting these kids know who are in domestic violent situations. They don't even know what they're into right now.
Well, now, buddy,
Amen.
So, and I would love you to be a guest on that.
and
on the
Brittany
show.
wants to do her own
Absolutely.
podcast. Talk about your own podcast, because I heard you talk about that. Tell me your
Come
vision.
on, girl. Come on.
Ooh. So there's that. My podcast is so I'm working on it.
Good.
It's a work in progress, but we're calling it, so the network is going to be called the Cards Right Network, because everybody has been dealt a deck of cards.
Right.
We all have to play them in different ways.
Okay.
So what this podcast represents is a very imaginative, kind of four-dimensional style where we're going to be telling stories, but from the true life perspective of those who are impacted. So my stories will be told using only audio sounds in as little dialogue as possible to convey the fact that in order for me to play my cards right, I have to use my ears.
Right.
Maybe a deaf person or a person who has a hearing impairment may tell their stories using vibration and color. You see, and we're telling these stories without using, we could do the PhD thing, but we've done disability and conversation around sensory differences in so many professional ways. I thought maybe it's time for us to have a little fun and really get into the idea that, hey, these people are really living a different story.
Exactly.
So it's like being blind. Maybe you hear the podcast that's telling a story, and maybe the story is fiction. It doesn't have to be a real story.
And
it just has to be.
It doesn't go from just that. I mean, OCD, ADD.
Come on.
I'm all of that. I think I'm almost every alphabet when you put them together. That's me. Yeah. I can't pay attention. I try to make myself look at the clock from 5:54 to 5:55 without doing anything else, and I hardly ever make it. OCD, any spot has got to be picked up.
It's got to be clean.
Yeah, it's got to be clean. So, it's so many different aspects that women go through in life that nobody addresses, and they get mad.
Ma'am.
People get mad. I'm like, let me empty that ashtray. I'm still using the ashtray. That's not the point. Let me clean it. You can use it again. But that's my OCD.
Right. Yeah.
So you can touch so many different, aspects of women. And we'll get together because the three of us, I think, we're gonna come up with some fantastic stories.
We're creating right up in here. Let me just take a quick break. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce, and yes, you can find him at mitchesfoods.com. Oh, there it is, the QR code, Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce. And I'll read the script right after the music because the music is awesome. He's playing harp.
Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce. Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce. Well, the sauce boss says you've tried the rest. Well, you'll be back cause this one's best. Mitch's Best Buffalo Sauce.
Oh, look out, Mitch, playing the harmonica, singing. That is an earworm every week. I am Sunday afternoon singing that song. All right.
You should play it on your ukulele.
There you go. With just the right heat and just the right bite, this rich and creamy sauce made with all real butter tastes great on everything except dessert. Handmade in small batches, it's made like a gourmet French sauce. It tastes great on any chicken dish, including wings. It also tastes great on any seafood, roasted vegetables, and many other foods. Available locally at QFC, Metropolitan Markets, Hagen Markets, and most fine meat shops in the Puget Sound area. Yes. Order directly from Mitch, Chef Mitch himself, the sauce boss, at mitchesfoods.com. He's going to be here on the 21st as my guest, and then we have our All-Star Women Jam that afternoon, so we're going to be serving food with Mitch's sauce all afternoon. We're going to have a good time on that, the 21st of April. Also coming up on the calendar, I booked Memphis Minnie's niece. Now, y'all know who Memphis Minnie was, right? So yeah, she's coming up to be part of the Royal Room show that tributes women in the blues. Reese Tanamura is doing all the promotion and the concert work on that. They are also the artistic director at Northwest Folklife Festival. So we're going to hear all of their story on the 14th, next week right here, because Reese Tanamura is going to be my guest on the 14th. So the 21st is Mitch, and yes, that weekend, the Thursday night at the Royal Room, I'm trying to get the calendar together here, we're going to have a big show of all these women doing tributes to women, Memphis Minnie, Bonnie Raitt, and my favorite, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. So, yes, you know who Sister Rosetta Tharpe was, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Uh-huh. Tell me, Miss Brittany, what is your favorite old traditional gospel song? Because you grew up in the church. You have you're smiling. You got one already, huh?
Precious Memories.
Precious Memories. Go ahead.
I don't know all the words, but I remember that piano part when Aretha starts singing that song. Woo.
You know, she still holds the title for the
Precious
#1 gospel
memories.
album in the world. Aretha Franklin does. No, not many people know that, but she did release an album, a gospel album.
Right. That she recorded at her church. I saw that
Exactly.
video.
At her
Oh, my
dad's
goodness.
church. At her
My
dad's
spirit
church.
just
Yes.
did a jump.
Incredible show.
Start jumping.
Well, now you talked about frequencies, and I want to ask you about intervals because they can be healing. The different, you talked about minor tones, diminished tones.
Yes.
The minor tones, those are, a lot of hit songs are made with minor tones. So how do intervals work into your creating music? Do you hear fifths and sixths and thirds and all those intervals?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So when I make music, I you know what? I'm just gonna be frank. It's like music is my first language. You know how it is when you hear a deep voice and your mind just goes to another.
Ooh,
You know,
he's sexy.
you know he's sexy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like certain intervals do that. They just create that same, just sonorous, that same seductive euphoria that I get, you know, and it's just, that's the reason why I got to stay out of blues clubs. I run from blues clubs.
Why is that? Now tell me the truth.
So no, seriously, I love
Kinda just said it, Marlee.
but the intervals are, but the power of intervals, like you said, they're healing, and they have so much power that we don't always know how to acknowledge. That's kind of why it's euphoric, because I don't know how to acknowledge why that is so incredible. Like, wow, that just felt good.
Got to tingle up my spine.
I just got to chill up my spine.
Right. Well, and singing harmony does that to me, but when you're working with yourself, you're singing harmony with yourself.
Right.
How does that work for you? I mean, you do all the listening.
Yes, but I don't listen. That's the part that's really. I don't listen. I become. See, it's a training thing for me, because like the more I listen, the more I'm like, oh, that wasn't right. That wasn't right.
Because you are your biggest critic.
Yep.
You're hard on yourself. Yep.
Yeah. Paralysis by analysis.
And you know,
That's a good
when
one.
I do my radio shows, I do not listen to myself.
Oh no.
Because like you say, you're your biggest critic. Be like, man, I said is instead of is. You know, little
Right.
dumb things that no one else knows but you, because you are your biggest and best critic.
It's true.
But that's a good thing.
Yes.
Well, you've come to a really graceful place with your music. I'm absolutely amazed that you have the story and that you've turned it around. You've flipped it. You said, I'm going to make this my soul, and it's very, there's minimalistic stuff. It's not too busy.
It's not too bad.
Joy out of pain.
There's joy out of pain, and you know, life sucks, but you made it beautiful. You turned it around, and sure, there's some hard language on there because you had some hard stuff to deal with.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to speak your truth, but it is entirely graceful. That's the word I ended up with after listening to your record.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm moved, and the layers there, you know, you brought God up.
Oh, me and God, we be talking.
Right. See, now I was around a fire pit the other night, and I was talking about how vibrations hit you, you know, and Einstein was working on the theory of everything before he died, and it ended up being string theory, which in my opinion is music. It's just vibrations. String theory is just vibrations, and vibrations make music, and music is the theory of everything. Well, this guy in around the fire pit disagreed with me. He said I was wrong, but I'm just putting a theory out there. What, you know, talk to me about vibrations, and I mean, you're a sensitive person. You feel the vibrations. So,
Yes.
So talk to me about that. Is music the theory of everything? Is it really?
Music is the source code,
True that.
and God is the one who is the everything. When I say everything, because when I think of God, when he said, let there be light, there was a sound, there was a resonance that vibrated. It wasn't contained yet. It was.
Harmony, I think.
It was
Wow,
harmony.
how powerful.
Because we think of let there be light as words like me saying let there be light. But what if it was like, like something that you couldn't say, but something that you were or something that you became, which is why I do my conduit work, like my music work like that. Because I do believe that sound is the source. Sound is the code which the source have provided for everything to exist. For instance, this table, right? The table has millions, billions, trillions of little particles that are vibrating. And it's vibrating. They're vibrating. It's causing this table to remain a table and to stay a table. Without the very vibration of those particles, there would be no substance. Right.
True that. Wow, girl.
So it's just a code.
Well, let me ask this right quick. What about the eclipse?
The eclipse. Well,
You know,
honestly,
because the history of it, the first eclipse, well, not the first, but the last two, one came between the Revolutionary War was coming. The other one came through the Civil War. Now we're having another total eclipse here.
And more war.
And we have so much war going on right now. You know, I'm not interested really into seeing it because I don't want to see the sun go away.
yeah.
You know, but religiously they have their own theories about what's going to happen.
Well,
But,
what we need is the superpowers of the one and only Brittany Davis.
So what do you feel about the
Right?
eclipse, Brittany?
Well, I feel like, I don't know a lot about eclipse, but I do know about God. And I know that he is never changed. And one of the things that I know about his ability to surprise us is that he loves us. So much so that he's willing to give us things we didn't know we needed.
Amen.
And that even means that when we have all these, because they were like, the year 2000, the world's going to end. What happened?
Right.
It didn't end.
Didn't it?
The world's going to end. 2012. What happened? It didn't end.
Right.
Because God knows, he knows the day. We don't know the day nor the hour. So we have to trust in his ability to make that decision. Now, if it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. And we are blessed to have today.
Mm-hmm.
If it's eclipse, it's eclipse. But today is the day.
Just a short, dark moment, and then we'll be
Yes.
past it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned in one of your interviews, it isn't supposed to be, and yet it is. And that is your favorite, when something isn't supposed to be, and yet it is. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, you may be thinking about yourself like that. Like, you weren't supposed to be, but you are.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Does
That's real.
Ring true?
It rings true because I was the one who was supposed to have 5 kids. Listen, I say a lot of the time, the only thing I'm missing is the 5 kids and the crazy baby daddy.
Right.
I had it all.
Or a few crazy baby daddies.
Or a few crazy baby daddies, okay? Okay, you want to say it? I'm saying.
You're such a joy, girl.
Incarceration, check. Gang violence, check. Death by gun violence, check.
Yes.
Somebody murdered by a gun, check.
Yes.
From the ghetto, check. Black, check. Female, check. Blind, check. Broke, check.
Check them all, baby.
Yeah.
Check them all.
I got them.
And you're still smiling.
I
You're still
got 'em.
smiling.
Oh, man, did I ever overflow, boy. I made it.
Well, now, one of the things I heard you say as well is that your dad taught you about synchronicity.
Thank you.
Can you talk about that?
So he was teaching me about synchronicity, and I feel like God gave that man to me for that 12 years to teach me. And I think about 12 like the tribes of Israel. True. So I think about those years, and each one of those years being a new rebirth, a new channel of understanding. Because as I got older, my dad got more. One time we were sitting outside listening to some chimes ring, and I was like, Daddy, they're so pretty. How are those chimes ringing? And he said, because the wind is blowing. And he said, watch this. And then he said, peace be still, and the wind stopped.
Oh, my.
Wow.
And then it started again, and then he said, peace be still, and it stopped.
The chimes stopped too?
The chimes stopped too.
Girl.
And I was like, ooh,
I know.
what did he just do?
My daddy is a powerful
My
man.
daddy is a powerful man. And I remember like him saying, like, if you believe, and I believed so hard to where God had to make me forget what I was believing because it would have happened because the way that I believed. Like,
Right.
I believed, I said, if I don't do nothing all day, if I whisper, because I was a kid, I used to want a fold-up cane, a collapsible cane, right? I said, if I don't do nothing but sit in my room and whisper, I don't talk out loud, I just whisper. And then 10 minutes later, I start talking out loud. It's like God was like, no, we cannot.
That's not what's going to
happen because, yeah, and he's like, he's directing that belief, and that's why my dad was so powerful in that guidance, because it was like he was giving me a guided tour of what it meant to be in sync with what was around me. He was like, listen to the bird over there. Now that one's going to talk. And then it would. I said, how did you know that?
That's a beautiful thing. That's a
What
beautiful
did you
thing,
just
baby.
do?
That's beauty. That's beauty.
See, and that's when I go, okay, that's God. When I'm in nature and the birds and the trees and the breeze, and that's okay.
That
That's
tree is 100 foot
creator.
tall.
Right.
What is going on with
Right.
I heard that tree. Listen, one time I was a kid, I was standing next to a tree, and she said,
That tree said that.
yeah, that's what she said. She started breathing. Yeah. And I said, what are you, huh?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know. She breathes, but like we breathe in and out. She breathes out.
Gives us oxygen. Yeah.
That's what she was doing.
Wow.
But that's when I learned in science class that trees breathe oxygen. And I was like, oh, that's why that tree done that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like when
You're teaching me. I had no idea. Well, I didn't go to science class.
You
I went
did
to
well in
second-
science, didn't you?
I got I got into the moleculars of it. I was all like, oh, the mitochondrial DNA and the nucleic acid and the 23 chromosomes and all of that.
You're
I
almost
was
a
crazy.
You're almost a scientist.
I wanted to be a surgeon or a pilot. I ain't gonna lie.
Really?
I wanted to be a pilot.
A blind surgeon. I don't know if that.
I
would
know, but I didn't realize.
Or a blind
but as a
pilot,
kid,
The
or a
blind
pilot.
pilot got me. I
But
fly
wait a minute.
lot.
Wait a minute. But wait a minute.
Co-pilot.
I actually flew a plane.
Right. Co-pilot.
Oh, you
I
did
flew
you?
a plane when I was about 10.
I can believe it.
Yeah,
Oh my!
I did.
It's
It
really
was-
safe up there. There's hardly
How
anybody else
fascinating.
driving up there.
Right. Yeah, but it's a thing that I've always admired, is the ability to create something or do something that impactfully changes the norm.
Well, you know, before this show
yeah.
ends, I feel glory from you. I don't know.
Oh,
Glory, and I don't know where it's coming from and where it's going to go, but it's GLORY.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
thank you for
I can hear
being
the
here
chord.
with us.
I can hear the chord. Glory. It's like harmonies.
Yeah, those harmonies. I wake up in the morning and I hear.
Yeah.
Amen.
I always have a song in my head too. I'm with you there.
And
Well,
wake
we could
up.
talk all afternoon. I could tell. My engineer's starting to give me that look, like maybe we. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't give me a look, but thank you very much, Christian Sadler,
Thank you,
for putting it
Christian.
together for us today and adding a microphone at the last minute. We really appreciate that, Bunny. You're awesome. Appreciate what you brought to the show. Please do it again.
I will,
I'm
sweetie.
always inviting her, and she always tells me, well, maybe. But today,
I was determined.
She made a point.
I was
Yeah, she
determined
made
to
a
be here
point.
today.
Thank
That's
you.
why I rolled up in 2 minutes before the show, like, I'm here.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
my heart so
I wanted to ask you one more question. You talk about sometimes going into a building and realizing it's not safe, and you turn around and leave. Tell me about that, because you're sensitive. You feel vibrations. So talk about that when you, like, this building used to be a funeral home, and this was the chapel. Did you feel vibrations when you came in here?
Oh yeah, we are connected to the spine, to the sacrum channels, and these are the types of things that keep us. They run from our past to our future, and in the middle is our present. And so, like, based on the tension of the string between the top and the bottom, from that sacrum to that cranium up here, yes. That is, a lot of people say it's New Age, but it's a part of our energetic system. That's why we sleep the way that we do, because our bodies charge. And that's based on God's source code, which is vibration.
So when we sleep, we're recharging?
We're recharging our meridians. So those are the types of things that God does that we can't control, that he controls. And that's the source code, that's sound. So when I came in the building, I felt the vibrations. I'm like, I'm cool. Sometimes, I just, like, when I was a kid, especially, like, there's certain people's houses I wouldn't go in because maybe there was a smell. Mm-hmm. The smell sent out, smell sent out a cord, and the cord said danger. Yes. Like, maybe I went in the house. I never smelled marijuana before. I smell it, The cord said danger. The smell sent the cord. The cord said danger. No entry. I'm not going in there. You can't get me in there with ice cream. Yes. Nothing.
Well, now the future looks very bright. Do you see light? Is there any light that gets in at all?
No light for me physically.
Okay. But you see the brightness coming. Don't you?
The brightness is here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the light shines from you, not in you, I guess. Because
that's true.
I see it and I feel it, baby.
And everything's moving very fast. We so appreciate you making time here on a Sunday afternoon to chat with us, and we're going to watch your star ascend.
Thank you.
I'm going to do whatever I can to help your star ascend.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'm Bunny Bubble and Brown Sugar from the American Blues Network. I'm the voice. Thank you, Marlee.
Oh, my
Brittany,
pleasure.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you, too.
Brittany has a new record out, and it is getting a lot of airplay on KEXP. We hear So Fly. We hear Never. We hear Sepricon. I know. I like Never. That was a beautiful song, too. She's been compared to Prince and Stevie Wonder. Check her out. She is a creator. They are a creator. I'm sorry. Did I do the pronouns wrong?
She is fine.
She is fine. Okay, thank you. I got to make sure and ask that. That's one of those old lady things I got to remember to ask. So check her out on Spotify, Shangri-La Music Studio.com, and of course BrittanyDavis.net. Am I right? Did I get all that?
That's right.
Okay, and Image Issues, the new record, like I said, getting a lot of airplay on KEXP. We expect to see your star shining bright very soon. Now, I got to introduce you to your neighbor out there in Maple Valley, Brandy Carlisle.
Yes, please.
We got to do that.
We got to do that.
And Maya Marie. Next week, tune in for Reese Tanamura, again, the artistic director of Northwest Folklife and producer-promoter, putting on the Royal Room Women in Blues series, which is going to feature Maya Marie, and it's going to feature Memphis Minnie's niece, Bonnie McCoy. I'll tell you more.
21st show?
Yeah, she's going to be at the Royal Room on the 18th with a bunch of women doing Bonnie Raitt and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Memphis Minnie. And so that's on the 18th. And then the 19th at the Vermilion up on Capitol Hill. It's a gallery.
Oh, I love Vermilion.
Do you? Okay, yeah. So we're going to be there on the Friday the 19th. And then the 20th in Belfair at the Bent Vine Brewery. Anyway, we'll get that all on our calendar and run this through you next week as well, because it'll be the weekend after that.
Yes.
All right. It is the Seattle Drum School, where you can find a guitar lesson, a piano lesson, a voice lesson, even a drum lesson if you really want one. They got them all here. I do have my Cadillac parts on the wall, and if I can find a pen, I'd love for you to sign my Cadillac. We'll see if we can. Maybe it's a little tall, but we'll get there. All right. Once again, I want to thank the Seattle Drum School for letting us do this every Sunday afternoon. We are booking guests for May. If you know somebody that you think I should have on the show, please suggest that, and I'll chase them down. And once again, thanks to Mitch'sFoods.com for giving us the support we need to get this done.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah.
Thank you, Funny.
Oh, it is our pleasure. Sponsorship of this podcast is available now. Check us out at Venmo. And once again, thanks to Christian Sadler and Real Music, Real People, Real Stories. Thank you very much, Brittany Davis, for being my guest.
Yay!
Right on.
That
Right
was
on.
fun.
I had